All right, we are live, brother. Welcome in. The latest episode of that SEC podcast brought to you by Twisted Tea and My Bookie. I'm your host, Michael Breton. Sorry, I'll explain it on this. I'm your host, Mike Breton. Go by SEC Mike on Twitter. I'm joined as always by my cousin Shane, who goes by Big Orange Vols. What's up, yo, Tennessee Homer?
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Oh man, I'm still battling illness over here, Shane. It's been 48 hours of hell over here, but there's so much going on in the SEC. I could not, in good conscience, go another day. There's just so much going on. And Shane said, "Hey, I've been busy all day. I don't even know what you're talking about." So he's going to get it just like the audience, live reaction here. How you doing?
I'm doing better than you, man. I tell you what, Mike's been sending me audio messages all day, and I swear I think I have COVID now. But hey, brother, like you said, I've been extremely swamped, but it's that time of the year, and I'm looking forward to some content. Get a break away from life for a second. What's going on in the college football realm?
Yeah, so let's just get right into it, Shane. A lot of post-signing day fallout is what I'm calling it, because there's news and notes flying after the signings and everything like that. Hold on a second. I'm not seeing any comments here. I wonder if we're live. Yeah, we certainly are, but I'm not seeing any of the comments. Are you? Oh, here we go. We got them now.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. But no, Shane, here it was kind of the biggest one, right? And we kind of tucked away Mizzou. We got such a loyal Mizzou audience, Shane. I hate to throw them there at the bottom,
I can't look at these comments. I can't. I saw the parking lot thing. I was like, no, I got to shift back over here.
Yeah. Don't look at the comments, Shane. You'll get distracted. But point being, Shane, so we just had the signing period, right?
Yes.
And Mizzou fans terrified. Defensive coordinator Blake Baker, offensive coordinator Kirby Moore. What an impact Kirby Moore's made for the offense this year. He was rumored to be – Notre Dame was after him, perhaps. We'll get to more of that in a little bit. Blake Baker, maybe Texas A&M after the defensive coordinator. Well, the good news keeps on rolling for them Tigers, Shane, because offensive coordinator Kirby Moore, defensive coordinator Blake Baker signed contract extensions. They're staying at Mizzou. Doesn't get much better than that. And just the good news just keeps on rolling for your Tigers, I should call them.
Oh, it's starting to feel that way. I get tagged in everything that happens Mizzou related, brother. And right now they've been on a heater. Keeping coaches, that's impressive. But this is what you want, man. A successful program constantly has to worry about their coordinators getting poached,
Right.
So I know it's stressful at times, but this is exactly where you want to be. Successful programs breed successful coaches.
Right, and again, all this momentum building up to next season, Shane, with the transfer portal. They just landed another one, Miami linebacker Corey Flagg. He was at Miami, 179 tackles, 24 and a half tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks at Miami. Now he's a Missouri Tiger, Shane. But with Kirby Moore back, with Blake Baker back, with starting quarterback, Luther Burden back, so many pieces back, I'm feeling pretty confident, Shade, saying Mizzou's going to be a playoff team. I know it's early. It's not an official prediction, but it's not going to surprise me if Missouri makes that 12-team playoff. Is it going to surprise you?
No, it won't. And I think the biggest one is when we saw the schedule reveal. We looked at it. Some of the toughest schedules some of the toughest games on their schedule was surrounded by bye weeks and weeks to get prepared for these programs. So, yeah, I mean, Ole Miss. That's been the sexy team here in the offseason. Georgia, Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma. These are teams you can't leave off. But Mizzou is right there in the mix, brother.
Yeah, and I'll reference the schedule. It's right here. So the first four, Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College, and Vanderbilt, all at home, at A&M, at UMass, Auburn at home, Bama on the road, Oklahoma at home. I want to get more on that in just a second. South Carolina, Mississippi State on the road, and then Arkansas at home. That's a schedule Shane referencing again. Yeah, I think with this expanded play SEC, I think it's going to be incredibly difficult to go undefeated. So I'm not sitting here saying undefeated, but 10-2 gets you in the playoff. I really do think in the SEC every year moving forward. But did you see this also, Shane? Sticking with that Oklahoma theme with the Missouri Tigers, the transfer, Caden Green, the standout offensive lineman. I don't know if you saw this, but they have found. So Caden Green, the offensive lineman, just transferred in. Oklahoma fans have found his father's business, and they're just bombarding it with one-star reviews. So they're trying to kill the man's business. Come on, we can't be having this. But at the same time, I'm like, God, these Oklahoma fans, maybe they are ready for the SEC. I don't condone that behavior, Shane. But I do want to say that. And then I don't know if you saw this, Shane. This outlet's new to me. So, again, we're learning Oklahoma as we go. But according to OU Insider, Shane, they interviewed Oklahoma's their lone five-star signee, David Stone, from the latest recruiting class.
Yeah.
He said, they said, okay, obviously Texas, that's a game we all got circled at Oklahoma. But is there anybody else, David Stone, that you are looking forward to playing in the SEC? Guess who he said, Shane?
M-I-Z.
He says, Mizzou. He says, I want them boys. They've been talking too much, and we got to shut that down. So make a note of it. Oklahoma at Missouri, November 9th, upcoming slate. Conference foes once again. I mean, isn't it great, Shane, that we're bringing in these teams, and it's like we already got rivalries already instilled in the conference. I love it.
Oh, Mike, you should clip this one. And, guys, this is time to bookmark because it's going to come back around when Mizzou and Oklahoma meet up. This is a rivalry we didn't know we needed, and it is already heating up, man. I can't wait to see it.
Milky Pants, I don't know if that's his real name, but he says Google did remove those bad reviews, which is good. But the fact that they had to do that.
Somebody thought of it. Yeah. Somebody thought of it. Them boys are ready for the SEC, Mike.
Now, how about in coordinator news, Shane? This is one that's not yet happened yet, but it could be devastating, probably too strong a word. But LSU offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock, the LSU's offense off the charts this year. Jaden Daniels, Heisman Trophy winner. Neighbors should have won the Biletnikoff. He was the runner-up. But according to The Athletic, Shane, Notre Dame is targeted Mike Denbrock as their next offensive coordinator. Again, not official yet. Texas A&M tried to get Mike Denbrock, and LSU handed him a contract extension. And from my understanding, Shane, he has not yet signed that extension. So that's kind of cracks the door open there for Notre Dame. And this is not one of those where Notre Dame hopes to get him or they're just floating his name out there. It sounds like he's from up there. Sounds like he's very close to taking it.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this, because
wait, close to taking the extension or close to going to Notre
leaving
Dame?
For Notre Dame. So where would that leave Brian Kelly and LSU with no Jaden Daniels, with no Malik Neighbors? Their running game is essentially just Jaden Daniels, at least this year. Of course, they got Diggs. He came in there and was pretty good. But I'm a little concerned, Shane. Again, I'm trying not to hit the panic, but it's December 21st. I'm already looking ahead to next season, doom and gloom. But I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say they wasted Jaden Daniels because it's not like they were awful. But with a Heisman Trophy winner, you'd think you'd be maybe a little bit better than 9-3. But there's obviously, as good as Garrett Nussmeier could be, he's not going to be as good as the Heisman Trophy winner right away. So I guess I'm just asking, are you concerned if we lose our offensive coordinator? Because then I think we're going to need our defense to step up in a big way. And that's obviously they've been awful on defense in Baton Rouge.
Well, let me ask you, is he going for the head coach in Notre Dame?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. What a stupid move that is. Are you listening to this? Mike, which one are you going to be most successful? I mean, you look at the coordinators that's come through LSU. You look at the talent that they're able to bring. Yeah, maybe we take a little dip back this year, but guess what? Next year, they're right back into the mix. LSU is always going to have talent. They locked down, 14 of Louisiana's finest. You know what I'm saying? What does that class look like next year? No, I think it's dumb. You don't leave LSU after this. Putting a kid at Heisman, why would you leave unless you just can't stand, your head coach, your boss, you know what I'm saying? Right. Why would you leave for another coordinator spot? And I would hold out. You got an opportunity to be a head coach someday.
Right. I mean, you make some good points, Shane. But again, if he does leave,
I know.
Maybe I don't know if that says anything about Brian Kelly. I don't know if it says anything about maybe, imagine if you engineer the best offense in the country and you're not competitive in some games because your defense can't stop anybody. Maybe
Yeah.
he's looking at it like that. Like, my goodness, I don't have faith in this defensive staff to get any better, and I can't keep up this ridiculous pace. I don't know. I can't get in his head, but
Yeah.
You hit on a kind of. I asked you something and you kind of turned it on me, but I think that's maybe even a better, a better point, just given the fact that if he does leave for a downgrade, there might be something behind the scenes that is that is concerning. You know what?
Yeah, I just, again, now I'm sure he has some ties and some relationship to a lot of folks back up there, and maybe he loves the area. I don't know. He may have a girlfriend back there. I'm not starting that speculation, but there may be something, like you said, that this is more of a personal decision. He's not on the show. We can't ask him those questions, but it is alarming to leave LSU to go to a program like Notre Dame. And I'm not bashing Notre Dame, but they it's Notre Dame. Yeah, I am. You know what I'm saying? Which one's more likely to compete for a college football, playoff spot, Notre Dame or LSU here in the next 2-3 years? So
right.
I don't know. I'm kind of torn in this situation. But if he doesn't want to be there, let me ask you this, because I saw this with Tennessee. A lot of people wanted to say, hey, we're losing our coordinator. He's taking a head coaching job down there at USF. We're not going to miss a beat because this is Josh Heupel's offense. You know what I'm saying? And guess what?
Whoops.
Tennessee missed a beat. Yeah. So how much of this, if he does leave, how much of this is Brian Kelly and how much of this is the OC?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I mean, he was last at Cincinnati when they went to the playoff. Remember? And we mocked all that, but he got the quarterback to the NFL. I tend to think it's more the offensive coordinator, Shane, and I think it may be. Again, I'm kind of completely speculating, but he's probably looking at it like the Heisman Trophy winner's leaving.
Yeah,
our best receivers are leaving. I don't think we're going to be near as successful next year. So maybe getting out while the getting's good, and while he looks like one of the hottest coaches in the country, assistant coaches in the country.
Yeah. Do you think there's any fallout like with the portal, because the window's still wide open? Sometimes you see some of these coordinators leave, and they take one or two on the way out.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think he's like some big time recruiter or anything like that. So I don't think they'd be losing anybody, but. Certainly a situation to monitor. They just added A.J. Swan, the quarterback, so I would think in part he went there for the offense. So maybe he starts looking around and saying, why did I just commit to somewhere that may not have the offensive coordinator anymore?
That's the Vanderbilt theme, man. Like get there and like, wait a minute, I was promised something else here.
Well, we'll get to some of that here in just a minute, Shake, because Texas A&M, they have hired their defensive coordinator, the first one under Mike Elko. Mm-hmm. They got Jay Bateman from Florida. He was the inside linebackers coach, and we'll have a little bit more on that in just a second. But they worked together, Mike Elko and Bateman, at Richmond. Bateman was the defensive coordinator at Army a couple of years ago, and then North Carolina. Now, this is a little bit of a confusing one, Shane, because he killed it at Army. Yeah. He was a finalist for the Broyles Award, given to the nation's top assistant coach his final season there. And then he went to North Carolina, and they were dreadful, and he got fired in 3 years. So, hit or miss. He's certainly going to have a lot better talent at A&M than he ever had at Army or North Carolina.
Yeah.
He was noted as a really good recruiter under Billy Napier's staff. But I don't know. I don't know. The fact that Mike Elko's worked with him, knows him, they're going to run this, obviously run the Mike Elko defense here. But this hire doesn't wow me, but it doesn't scare me either. It's kind of middle of the road for me.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Muschamp hire, kind of like a cheap version of that. You didn't freak out because Kirby Smart had him. You knew Kirby Smart was going to do his thing here. So I'm not panicking. Now, if it would have been an offensive coordinator situation where Elko had no hands involved, I'd maybe a little bit more concerned here. But, yeah, I think this may be more from a recruiting side and, just he knows what to expect. You know, when you come in, there's so many. When you got a new regime like this, there's so much confusion. You know, trying to get everything working. It helps when you have a little continuity. You know, especially with a coordinator in these rooms.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's loading up with great recruiters there at A&M. That's what you got to have, obviously, in the SEC. Now, Texas coming in, you're going to be battling with them for a lot of that top in-state talent. So you got to have them recruiters down there from that point. I love it. And again, if he once again coaches as well as he did at Army, I mean, hell, this could be the hire of the offseason that doesn't get talked about enough. You know what?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, he left Florida, though, Shade, right? The day after signing day, he was the inside linebackers coach. They had an elite linebacker class, but they lost a couple there on signing day. But here's where all the drama is, Shade. I don't know if you remember this guy, Ernest Graham. He was one of the best Florida running backs in school history. Mm-hmm. Went on to the NFL, had over 2,000 yards in the NFL. When he left Florida, he was the third leading rusher in school history. In rushing touchdowns, fifth in rushing yardage. So an all-time Gator, right?
Yeah.
Well, his son, Miles Graham, he's a four-star inside linebacker, just signed with Florida, wanted to play for Jay Bateman, and now Bateman's gone. And here's what Ernest Graham, again, this is a Gator for life here. He said, my son was raised to understand the business as it exists, but there have been new levels of disconnect with this Florida program he's talking about that I have never ever experienced. No calls, no communication, and the driest experience imaginable. Billy Napier dry? Come on now. I'm just going to start there. So, I mean, he's blasting the program, and he ain't the only one, Shay. Brandon James, former Gator great punt returner, he responded to one of Dan Mullen tweets and said, preach, coach, you should still be up there. And remember, this is the day after signing day. We just signed a couple 5-stars. I get it, the class fell apart, but I put this out there on Twitter. Some people said, well, what's the big deal? It's just a former player liking one of their former coaches. I get it, but you don't have, former Fulmer players saying, God, Phillip, you should still be the coach up here. You know what I mean? We don't have Mark Ripp players, as great as a guy as he was, saying, I wish they'd kick Kirby's ass out the door for Mark Ritt.
Right.
This is a horrible, there's no spitting for great Florida players saying basically the coaching staff is awful and should not be there. I mean, this, as soon as they get some momentum, it just goes right out the window.
And that's what you got. You got to have your alum, man. I know it's not sometimes the best part of it, but when you go to these games and you see these greats on the sideline and they're telling these kids that are, when they're recruiting, they're sitting on the sideline with them, talking about the great time that they had there that propelled them to the NFL. This is when you walk down the hall and you see those jerseys and all the, the money that's made in the league. It's a recruiting tool. And if you're kind of punching it, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it makes it a little bit tougher because these boys are still, it's a brotherhood, and a lot of these guys, you may be shitting on one guy, but his brother may be trying to get recruited or something, so you just got to be careful.
Right. And again, I mean, this schedule, Shane, it's regarded as the toughest in the country next season. And really, Miami, Samford, A&M all at home, at Mississippi State, Central Florida at home, at Tennessee, Kentucky at home. Then here's where the true gauntlet, Georgia in Jacksonville, at Texas, LSU at Ole Miss at home, both top 10 teams probably, and then at Florida State. And here's the problem with all these issues, Shane. If Florida goes 7-5 next year, given that schedule, that's probably a really good year. But with all this stuff going on now and behind the scenes and the class falling apart, at 7-5, they're probably firing him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's got to do even better. And it's a tough place. And I don't want to call him a lame duck because I don't think that's fair because they were losing down the stretch, but they were playing better football. They got to play a hell of a lot better. But the problem, Shane, is if they stumble early against a Miami, against a Mississippi State, against a UCF,
yeah,
I mean the uproar is just going to be unbearable.
Man, I tell you, brother, misery loves company, and the problem that Florida is in right now is everything's under a microscope. If this happened to Alabama, we got some alum butt hurt over some sort of situation similar to this. We're not. I mean, yeah, it's a story for a day, but it's the Florida Gators, and it seems like one punch after another. The media cannot wait for the Florida Gators program to burn down. You know what I'm saying? They're ready to pile on. But again, this has got to galvanize that locker room. They got to have that type of attitude. And maybe if you didn't want to be there, you don't need to be there. You know what I'm saying? Following one guy and not the university, maybe that's the case here. So I'm not completely shitting on Florida Gators here, but you look at that schedule, everyone's going to be piled on you. Everybody's going to have you the lowest, one of the lowest teams coming into the SEC next year. You have a real opportunity to grab the bull by the horns and make some noise. I mean, if you start out, there's a shot, man. I'm looking at Texas A&M. If you get past Texas A&M, there's a real shot that you could be 5-0. You know what I'm saying? It could happen, but it's a tough damn schedule, and you got to hit the ground running, and you can't let this outside noise be a part of the story that's inside that locker room.
Yeah, and I just thought of something to ask you, Shane. Remember, there's no more East, there's no more West. It's just SEC, right? So I guess at media days, the way we're going to do it, they're just going to say vote 1 through 16 or whatever. And I'm not, and again, this is not official vote.
Right.
We'll change 20 times between now and the time we actually got to get there. But if you had to fill out a ballot right now, Shane, just a rough estimate, where are you putting Florida given that schedule? And that's the key. So I'm not asking you 1 through 16, power rankings or who Florida would beat, but I mean, I'm just spitballing here, but I'm thinking like Florida probably 12, 13 and remember they're 16 now, not 14, but still, I don't know if you go much higher. And that's just if I'm a Florida fan, that's going to look awful come media days when we're roughly 12th, 16th in the SEC, right? I mean, am I off base?
No. I think we're double digits. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'd put them around right now 10 or 11, but so much can happen, brother. So much can happen here in the offseason. So I'm not, like you said, we're not putting our stamp on this thing by no means. But given the current situation, looking at that schedule, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and that's gonna be another bad look. You know what I mean?
But at least it's not the East and West. Now it's like, well, you got 6 other teams that are worse than you.
Well, and then speaking of signing day fallout, I just thought this was great, Shane. 5-star KJ Bolden, of course, signed with Georgia. He was the one that the anticipation was he was going to go to Auburn after being committed to Florida State for a while. And he says he took less money to go to Georgia, so he still got paid, but less money. He says NIL is short-term money. You are only getting the money right now for a moment. The big money is NFL money. That's why he picked Georgia over Auburn. And I don't disagree with anything he's saying, but it's almost like he is putting it out there. Auburn's offering more, but I took less to go, win championships, be developed, go to the NFL. That's a rough look, I think, for Hugh Freeze and company.
Yeah, it seems to be like a popular take here this week too. It's like, I could have went there and made twice as much, but what does that mean? You get some more the following year? It's like, what are we doing here? You got a 4-year contract, or I'm just saying you're hearing quite a bit of this noise come from it. And it's just one more stab on the way out, but guess what? These teams play each other. So. But there will be some people on this staff that remember this conversation.
Right, and I'm sure that was the pitch that Kirby and company made. Every time they got up on the phone, I bet you look good with the Atlanta Falcons, you look good with the Chargers, on and on, like, but you ain't getting there unless you come to, you know what I mean? I'm sure that was the pitch.
I'd call you earlier, but I was on the phone with Matt Stafford. Sorry about that.
And speaking of them Georgia Bulldogs, so they humbled Lane Kiffin and company. And this was from Kiffin's signing day press conference. I just thought this was pretty interesting. They asked him about their strategy in adding players via the portal. And he said it really came down to Georgia basically whooping us all up and down the field. Let's kick it over to Kiffin. I want to ask you about this on the other side.
No, I think that, really we sat in a press conference, to me, and this really started in Athens, Georgia. And I think you guys sensed my disappointment after that game and the way that I coached, but just some other things, and said, hey, we're going to do everything in our power to change the way that we look, especially as a team, but especially defensively. And so we might not be very good, but we're going to look a lot better, in our uniforms. And a lot of that was signing players that are already significant players in the SEC that we've seen play against these teams. Because, I kind of joke with you guys sometimes, warm-ups don't look very good that night. And that's nothing against our players and how hard they play. A lot of that is just size, and that's not a secret. We have not been a very big team, especially defensively. We're a very short team. So I love our players. I love how hard they play, but length matters at times. That's why the draft is drafted the way it is. So we definitely have improved overall with significant players on offense, but really on defense, and a lot more players that I think compete at a high level to give you a chance to be an elite defense in the SEC.
All right, but I mean, he was right. Remember, he came out and said, well, what's the difference between, what they lose 50-something to 10 or whatever it was? He said, well, by God, we don't got the players. You know what I mean? So, again, he's kind of, I don't want to say throwing his team out under the bus, even though he kind of is, but he's honestly being truthful there in a sense. But that's, the impetus for what they're doing and adding all these guys via the portal. They've gone heavy on the defensive line, still trying to get Walter Nolan. And if they get him, again, I don't think these words are going to come back to bite Kiffin necessarily, but this is the missing piece. Yeah. And he's putting it out there for you. Hey, this is where we're short when we stack up against Bama and Georgia. Well, let's go out and get those players. We got them. They better not come up short next year. You know what?
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you, I've been there, brother. When you're going out there and warm-ups, you're looking over there like, man, who's that big son of a bitch? Oh, I hope I don't have him. What's that, number 55? Then you find out you're going against him. You're like, damn, I've been there, brother. Ole Miss is like right there, and they were like you said, they were just missing a couple of pieces to be considered one of the top dogs, and it's size and length, and that's what they went out there and got, and that's what they're going to continue to hunt for. Don't forget, there's another portal going to be opening up. Ole Miss is going to be very, very active in that department because they want to compete, and they're right there on it. You can go to these kids and say, hey, look what we've got now. We didn't have it last year. We got it this year. Do you want to be part of something special, or you just want to be another cog in the wheel,
Right. And again, this is another indication to me, Shane. They're kind of pushing all the chips in. This is all in on this season. Not saying they won't be able to do it more and more, but if it doesn't pay off, I bet those Ole Miss boosters are going to be like, well, I ain't giving whatever you know what I mean? Now, if it works and they win big and they make it to the playoff, I bet you some of those same boosters are like, whatever you got, I'll give you double this time. Go get me some players. So
it's like that crypto cash, cryptocurrency. They're like, oh, okay. And then the next thing you know, you're all in. So you just need it to hit big.
Right. And I was having this conversation with someone else earlier today, Shane, but I think it's really smart. I think it's smart of Ole Miss and Arkansas. We're seeing Kentucky do it. We'll get to Tennessee in here in just a minute, but particularly those three that I can see now, Ole Miss, Mizzou, and Kentucky, let's be realistic. You're not going to beat Alabama and Georgia and LSU and Texas on the high school recruiting trail more often than not. Yeah. Those programs are going to beat you. So instead of beating your head against the wall, the high school recruiting, Ole Miss, Kentucky, Missouri, and others, they're sitting here saying, well, let's load up in the transfer portal. And I think it's just an incredibly smart way to go about it. And, it's a different path. We don't know if it's going to be successful or not. But I think being different is what those programs have to do. And by God, it looks like they're putting in all the pieces to have big seasons this fall.
Absolutely. I mean, our biggest fear when they mentioned this was teams like Bama, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma, LSU. They're just going to get rich. They're just going to take the best players off the best teams, and they're going to create these super teams. So we thought that was what's going to happen. But what you're seeing is individualism. I want to be part of something different. I want to be special by myself too, and they're getting a little bit of that brand recognition when they go to teams like Ole Miss and Mizzou and Kentucky, So yeah, I'm all for it, and that's why I like the portal. Is it kind of evens the playing field a little bit.
Right. And Shane, I don't know who they're referencing here, but GP Hilamo, he's guaranteeing Mizzou will beat Oklahoma October 9th. I don't know if he's talking to one of the others, but maybe we can get a little bet going here, a guarantee. Yeah. Maybe they get it on the bourbon bet. Maybe there's something Mizzou, Oklahoma related. They can get it on bet. But man, we are 11 months from that game, Shane, and we're sitting here talking trash about it. That's how great it's going to be. You know what?
Well, I'm trying to think what's a good common ground. Well, what's the trophy going to be here? So, yeah, there'll be some new bets, brother. I can't wait to do it. Welcome these guys in. I got roped into some damn message board earlier, and I'm looking at all these Texas, Oklahoma guys going at it, and I'm like, man, I welcome it with open arms.
Yeah, it looks like he's going with Mark here. They got $250 on the line here, Shane.
Shit, let's do it. Do we got a bet?
We're like the bookie. We get like 5%, don't we? 10%. Hey, but speaking of the portal, Shane, I wanted to add this real quick. Tennessee just landed a big-time transfer, Shane. Chris Braswell from Tulane. A lot of people saying one of the most sought-after receivers in the portal, 6'5", speed receiver, 711 yards, 5 touchdowns last year as a freshman. I saw 24/7 Sports. They've got him as a 91 overall in the portal grade, so that is an outstanding grade. Adding weapons, that's what Tennessee was short last year. We still don't know. Brew McCoy, he has not made a final decision on whether he'll be back, but if he's back, that'd be great news. Yeah. They already got the tight end Holden from Notre Dame that was regarded by many as the number one portal tight end. Bringing back Dante Thornton, Squirrel White. They added a 5-star Mike Matthews. So, I mean, this has got to give you a hope that we get a little bit closer to all the weapons we had 2 years ago at Tennessee there for Josh Heupel's offense.
I've been trying to tell you, Mike, next year's our year.
And with all the offensive linemen back, if Nico hits big, oh, man, LSU 2023 is Tennessee 2024. You know what?
You won't be able to contain them boys. You think they're loud and obnoxious now. You wait till Nico suits up week 1 with 500 yards total.
And then last one, Shane, a little bit quick, shorter of a show here, but 6 years for the man with 6 fingers, Shane. J.J. Weaver back for Kentucky. I thought he was out of eligibility, but he's back for another run, Shane. Wants to line up next to Dumas Johnson there, a transfer from Georgia. We are loaded with experience in Kentucky's front seven. I saw he's a 2-time team captain. I saw our buddy over there at Kentucky Sports Radio, Adam Lucky, say, good luck running on this front seven. And I was just thinking of your Vols running all up and down on him. Hopefully he can, in his 6th year, he can handle tempo a little bit here, but I kid. But
hey, that kid went all out during that Louisville matchup, especially. Yeah. I mean, he is a freak talent, and that's a big get. And one of the things I like about it, Mike, is there's a handful of teams. I know we keep going back to it, but the buy-in at some of these programs when they just kind of plant the flag and say, hey, let's do this. We messed up last year. We can do this. I'm starting to feel that vibe from Kentucky, man. A lot of buy-in, not just with the fans, but more importantly here, the players.
Right. You want to leave it better than You found
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we all get excited, Shane, when we sign this 4-star, this 5-star, we get this guy out of the portal. But these guys that return,
Yeah.
2-time captains, standout players, they matter a heck of a lot more, in my opinion, than anybody new to the program. Not that those players won't amount to anything, but they generally won't immediately.
Yeah.
Someone like a J.J. Weaver, you know what you're getting. You know the instant impact you're going to get. And it also, of course, speaks to just the culture and everything that's so strong there going into, I think, year 12 of the Mark Stoops era, that these players are still, hell, J.J. Weaver's been there for half the Mark Stoops era. I just don't realize that. But, hey, he must love it if he's committed to another year of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, the coach is coming back. The players are starting to come back, so it's working out for them.
Yep. All right, buddy. That's all I got on this episode. You got anything before we hop off the line?
No, man. You sounded better. I know you powered through this thing. I appreciate you getting all this stuff together.
I'm medicated. That's what it is.
Yeah. Hey, big show tomorrow, so don't forget to tune in. You
No,
too.
tomorrow's Friday.
Oh, no big show tomorrow. Just hey, we're not going to see anybody till Christmas then, huh?
Right.
Yeah, well-
we're giving you Christmas off.
All right, hey, Merry Christmas, everybody. I don't know what you guys are hoping for. I'd like to.
Oh wait, you were going to do something with the coaches and the Christmas. Did you do any
Well,
of that?
I thought about it. It's like I got my days mixed up.
Here's how the show goes. Just so everybody knows that behind the scenes, Shane's like, I got this great idea. We're going to do Christmas coaches. Let's do a Christmas show. I say, perfect. And then we do the show, and then he's like, yeah, I didn't do any of that.
Well, I thought about it. If
okay.
we were handing out head coaching as a Christmas character, and I was going through some of them, like Nick Saban, of course, he'd be Scrooge, and Clark Lee would probably be little Timmy, So I went through the list, Buddy the Elf, I'm curious the
Wait,
list.
who's Buddy? Is it Drake?
Well, I mean, he's so happy right now. Yeah, I think you got to singing songs all the damn time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. He. Yeah. I would give the Elf. I would give that to Drink right now.
How about who's Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer?
Rudolph the Red-Nosed leading the pack, Mike. I think that may be a good one for Lane Kiffin, kind of changing this. Wait, no, who would he be? He's the Grinch, man. He's stealing everybody's damn presents. You know what I'm saying? That would have to be Lane Kiffin as the Grinch, stealing all these great athletes.
Yeah. How about Buddy the Elf? Anybody Buddy the Elf?
Well, Buddy, I gave to Drink, because again.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, he's singing.
I was thinking of that little nerdy kid in Rudolph the Red-Nosed. That's who I thought, the blonde-haired kid. That's who I thought you were going with.
I've seen Drink referenced on the kid off Polar Express with the glasses. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That punches ticket. But I don't know. Everything's going so good for Mizzou right now. It's like Buddy. You can't lose. You know what I'm saying?
Could Mark Stoops be Frosty the Snowman? He seems like he'd be a good Frosty.
Yeah, I can see that. You know who? I think Stoops would be. Keep going back to the Christmas past, the one that drank all the time. You remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
You're not the one that was
Bad Santa? They're all Kiffin now that I think about it.
Kirby, the one that Bill Murray did, the Scrooged. Bill Murray would be like Kirby Smart. I would think, like, he's starting to figure out, he's getting sucked into Nick Saban's, pipeline here, and he's trying to stay grounded a little bit. So
Jerry Moore says Shane might be Santa in disguise.
yeah, I can get that. Yeah, I like the gift. So
well, who's Santa then? That's got to be Pittman, right?
oh yeah, Sam Pittman.
Yeah,
that'd be a good one. Sam Pittman. Trying to think, anybody else we missing? Give me another coach. We got them all right. Well, what about the Texas Sarkisian? He got Sark, new guy. You new guy coming in the SEC. Trying to outdo his parents. What Christmas? I wouldn't say misfits. Trying to think. I
want to
don't
say
know.
I want to say Bad Santa because they have some bad habits there, but he's put that behind him. You know what?
Oh shit, Mike! Damn, they ain't over here. Oh, that's a good one though. I like it. I like it. You evil bastard.
How about John wants to know Shane Beamer or Billy Napier? What kind of Christmas could they be? What kind of characters would they be?
You know, Beamer's a little kid at heart. Maybe he's kind of like Matthew. What's his name? McConaughey, not McConaughey, but Home
think-
Alone. Home Alone.
Yeah,
you
Home
know what
Alone.
I'm saying? You
Yeah.
know, Daddy Beamer left. He don't know what to do. You know, he's still trying to figure it out. You know.
I got a perfect one for Napier.
Who you got?
I'm going to try to upload it. I want the audience to see this because it won't hit. This is perfect Napier. I don't know the kid's name. This is Napier right now. What's that guy's name? Ralphie, right?
Yeah, I'll shoot your eye out. Yeah.
Yeah. He's shooting his eye out, every day there in Gainesville.
I figured you'd pick somebody that's like sleeping or something, because of his sleep habits and stuff. But I think is that it? Is that all?
Somebody, Jackson wants to know Jimbo. Is we got one for Jimbo?
Ooh, Jimbo.
Is there a Christmas movie about getting fired?
Jimbo, man, I that just ruined Christmas. Who ruined Christmas? Yeah, Jimbo. I don't know. I don't have one for Jimbo right now. Maybe the listeners.
I have not seen this movie yet, Shane, but I keep seeing it on my queue on these platforms to watch. Have you seen this movie yet?
Oh no, I've not watched it, but I have seen it pop up in my queue a few times.
Okay, maybe that's Jimbo. If he ever finds me and on the set of Fine Bob or anything, you know what?
For burying him.
They're saying Mike Elko, he could be Bruce Willis in Die Hard. I like that.
Oh, do you remember that movie they did? It was I'm so bad at movies. You know me, but the one that not Woody Allen, but Tim Allen. Him and the girl that was off of the Mask, the scary horror movie.
Is that Christmas with the Cranks?
Yeah, like they were going on a cruise instead.
Right.
Yeah. That would be Jimbo because he's now getting a tan right now with all that money. Him and Coach O down there.
And then there's one more too. This is he's not technically in the SEC anymore, Shane.
Yeah,
but he was for a good while. Oh yeah, this is perfect. I can't believe we did not get to this one just yet. I'm uploading as we speak. I want people to see this. But if you had to think of a former coach, Shane,
yeah,
in the SEC. Oh dang it, it's not uploading. Son of a. From the what was that? Clark Griswold National Lampoons.
yeah. Cousin Eddie.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
yeah. I mean, this guy's the spitting image here. That's Dan Mullen, right?
Shitter's full. Hey, I'll tell you, this is my favorite Christmas movie. I don't know if you've got a favorite, but every Christmas Eve, it's a tradition. We always watch it over at my parents' house. They do Christmas the day before, and that one's always going. So that's one of the only movies that I could sit down and watch start to finish over and over again. I could watch it 5 times throughout the year. So if I were picking my favorite Christmas movie, that's without a doubt it. Do you have a favorite Christmas movie?
Honestly, no. I mean, I like them all. Probably original Home Alone is probably up there for me. But that's Clark Griswold. That's a hell of a selection as well. I like all those where they go to Vegas, they go to Europe. I mean, I like all. There's one where they go to like Disney. You remember that one?
Yeah.
And they get there and it's closed. Gremlins. That's another good one.
A good one for Billy would be Bruce Willis off Die Hard. He just ain't got time for Christmas. You know what I'm saying? He's out there protecting and saving lives. So maybe that's the one we put for Billy. Do you consider that a Christmas movie?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah, I was just making sure. Oh yeah, Christmas Story with Ralph. I'm torn on this one, Mike. I get so much heat whenever I bring this up, but I think that's one of the worst Christmas movies.
Oh wow.
I said it.
I'm tired of watching it. I'll tell you that. That's one where it was just on too much when I was a kid.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I don't know. I mean, the leg lamp, that was that was like the funniest part. I don't know. I never got it. I never understood it.
Well,
so.
we all know what to get Cousin Shane for Christmas now. Get him one of them leg lamps.
Well, shit, man. Well, again, I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, and I hope your teams. Shit, you evil bastards. Vanderbilt is the Gremlins. That's a good one. That's a good one.
I think that's a perfect note to go out on, Shane. I appreciate you as always. Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. We'll be back before the bowl season, but we're going to take a break here unless Nick Saban retires or anything like that. Emergency podcast. But if not, we'll catch you after Christmas. Merry Christmas, buddy. And thanks, everybody, for showing up. We'll catch you on the next one.
All right. See you guys. Merry Christmas.